What's going on, guys? Super Insane 18 here, and today I am bringing you an updated Rescue Ace deck profile with a bit of a twist, and that is going to be the Superheavy Samurai engine. Now, this isn't an idea that I came up with myself. I saw it from a top 4 profile from a Texas regional, so big shout outs to that guy. I'll link that video in the description as well. I did try to change it up a little bit for my own personal preference, but I think in testing I might have actually ended up back on the same exact build. I'm not 100% sure, I don't remember the exact ratio, so if I did, that just shows how good of a build that it is. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So we are going to start things off with a bit of something that is out of the ordinary, and that is going to be only 2 copies of the Rescue Ace Hydrant. When I saw this, I thought that it was actually just insane, but honestly, in playtesting, I do not miss the third at all. This card in and of itself is not a starter on its own. You always need an additional card as well, so bumping it down to 2, you really don't lose that much consistency, and the consistency that you get from the other cards that we are playing is more than worth it. I'll have the actual numbers on the screen at some point in the video, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. We are still on 3 copies of Rescue Ace Impulse. This card is just crazy when you are going second. Opening up this card when your opponent goes first means that you are playing on their turn 1, or rather turn 0 of the duel as some people refer to it, and that's just crazy because you can put up some interruptions before you even get a turn. Not just that, you can also put up some things that are able to search and or summon during their turn, and that's just pretty nuts because it gets you additional consistency to play on your turn. We have 3 copies of Airlifter. This is probably the best one because it's able to search any spell, but most importantly, it gets you into the emergency, which is the heart and soul of the deck. We have our 1 of Fire Attacker and 1 of Fire Engine. These are the cards that you are likely summoning off of Impulse during your opponent's turn 1, because this one will be able to draw you additional resources, and this one will be able to summon things from your deck. We have our 2 copies of Rescue Ace Preventer. This card is not only just insane being able to summon itself, but it is also a Book of Moon and recursion by summoning your banished ones as well. And then we have our 1 copy of Rescue Ace Turbulence. Similar to the Hydrant, when I saw this at 1, I thought it was crazy that you wouldn't play at least 2, but I don't actually ever miss the second or the third. Most people were never playing 3, so I don't really miss the second. Because honestly, you can recur it super easily with cards like Rescue or being able to summon it back from Banish off of Preventer. There's just so many different ways of getting it back. The Rescue Ace HQ, the field spell, being able to put it back in deck, and then you can either summon it off of Emergency or search it off of Hydrant. You guys know there's a ton of different ways into it, so I don't really ever think that you need more than the 1, because the consistency that we're getting by adding additional cards in its slot is just absolutely ridiculous. So on to the Super Heavies now. We are playing 3 copies of Motorbike. This is the best one to start with because it will get you the full combo, but you can also technically start with the Wakaushi as well. So essentially the math, and this is probably where it will be on the screen, I have to do that in post-editing, but essentially you were originally playing 4 copies of your Airlifter because you had Airlifter plus Reinforcement of the Army. Now you're essentially playing 8 copies with your 3 Bike and the 1 Wakaushi, because no matter which one of those you open, you will have your way into Airlifter. So I don't remember the exact numbers, they'll be on screen, but it was like a 40-something% chance of opening it. Now it's like a 70-something% chance of opening it. So yeah, that is a massive consistency boost. And the cards that you have to play in combination with these are obviously the 1 Big Benki. This is probably the only legitimate brick in the deck, because if you open it, you just can't use the Waka. So yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate if you open that, but hopefully if you open it, you already have your Airlifter or you have Emergency and something else, so you don't really need that engine. But then we also play the 1 copy of Soul Gaia Booster. This is what we're going to be searching off of the Big Benki, and the reason that's important is for cards in the extra deck that we will talk about when we get there. On to the hand traps, we are playing 3 copies of Effect Veiler. Now this is something that the top 4 build was playing, and originally I swapped them out for Drolls, but honestly, and as crazy as this sounds, because I think it's crazy as well, I'm not playing Droll in the main deck. This, I think, covers some of the matchups a little bit better, because Droll doesn't do anything to specifically Rescue Ace as well, which is one of the top meta contenders, but it doesn't really hurt Unchained either, and Veiler kind of hurts everything, so I just really think that Veiler is a better option for the main deck. We also have our 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and that's going to be it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells, we have the Rescue Ace 1-ofs, which are the Alert, the Rescue, and the HQ. You don't really need to explain these much. Honestly, I consider considered bumping this up after last night, because I got into a really big grind game with Labyrinth, and it got to the point where eventually they were able to out my HQ, and because I no longer had my recursion every turn, they were able to outgrind me. But that's probably just me being upset about a loss. I don't really think that you need 2 of them. 1 is probably more than sufficient. Then onto the Heart and Soul, we have the 3 copies of Emergency. This card is just E-Telly on steroids. Not only are you able to summon any of your rescue aces from your deck, but you can also banish it to reset your traps, and that works really well in tandem with something like Hydrant that can activate them the turn that they're set. So just really, really strong there. We have our 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army. Obviously, we want the consistency of being able to see our Airlifter. We have our 3 copies of Book of Moon. I just think that this card is cracked this format. 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity, because consistency is the name of the game. That is going to be it for the spells. The last 2 cards in the deck are the Contain and the Extinguish. These are the Rescue Ace traps that are absolutely insane. This is like an Imperm plus a Gnome material. This is like a Pop plus a Call by the Grave. So just a ton of utility, but that is 40 cards. Let's show you guys the extra. To start off the extra deck, we are playing 1 fusion, and that is going to be the Mud Dragon of the Swamp. This is for the Proxy F Magician play that you'll see later on when we talk about the links, but essentially you're able to use this and summon it before you make something like your Turbulence. Call Fire, that way they can't use something like Effect Veiler, Ghost Mourner, Infinite Impermanence to negate your Turbulence, and that's just really, really strong because that's probably the biggest choke point of the deck, is negating the Turbulence. If you don't get your 4 set, you're pretty far behind on resources. Then we actually play 2 synchros for the super heavy stuff. We play the Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon and the Baron de Flor. Obviously, if you open up the Motorbike, you are able to go into both of these, and that fixes a massive problem that the deck has. One of the problems that I was noticing is that you pretty much just lose to any form of back row hate, so Harpy's Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, Evenly Matched, those kinds of cards. If you have an Omni Negate on your board, you no longer really have to worry about that. And this takes up much less extra deck spaces than playing something like the Terahertz package, and honestly, the Terahertz package is cool because it's a spell trap negate, but I'd rather have an Omni Negate for less resources that I need to put into it. Then we have the Battling Boxer King Dempsey. This is why the consistency of seeing your Airlifter just skyrockets with the Super Heavy engine, because if you need access into your Airlifter, instead of going for the Baron line of play, you go for the King Dempsey play. So the Super Heavy engine allows you to make any rank 4 before using your normal summon. So on summon, the King Dempsey will search any Fire Warrior, meaning that you just get to add your Airlifter from your deck to your hand without using your normal summon. You can then normal summon the Airlifter, search the Emergency, and full combo. I'll be showing you guys both of the combos using the King Dempsey and the Baron at the end of this video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Onto the links, we have the 2 link ones, the Link Rebo and the Relinquished Anima. These are just self-explanatory. Link Rebo is pretty much just mandatory for the combo because you need to be able to link away your Hydrant very easily, and Anima is just there for if your opponent doesn't respect it and they play in the zones that the extra monster zone will point to. There are a lot of games that I've just gotten that I shouldn't have gotten because they were stupid enough to summon in those zones. Then we have 2 Charmer links. We've got the Dark and the Hida. Dark is obviously because the 2 link ones we play are Dark monsters, and Hida is because we are playing a Fire deck. So many times I've been able to reborn my opponent's Ash Blossom and then just link off for something better. Then for the end of the Link 2s, we have the IP Masquerina. This is part of the standard turn 1 combo now. The Proxy F Magician, this is again for the Mud Dragon play, and the Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. This is just a recursion for the deck. A lot of times you're able to add back your your Rescue Ace monsters, but I find myself actually adding back the Ash Blossom a lot. We play a couple of Link 3s. We have the Nightmare Unicorn and the Topologic Trisbania. This is just a really good target for the for the IP Masquerina, and this is really good into the Labyrinth matchup. If you know that they're on Labyrinth, you can make this. So let's say you go first, you can go IP Masquerina into Topologic Trisbania. They'll set their cards in end phase. You can go like Emergency, summon something to the Trisbania zone, and then nuke all the back row, and then they kind of just lost. We have our 1 Link 4, which is the access code. This is very easy to climb into and go for game. And finally, we have the Underworld Goddess, just another really good IP Masquerina target. Let's go ahead and show you guys those combos. And before we get into the combos, don't forget that the Fusion Summer Fun double-sided metal field center is available for purchase on my website, insanetcg.com, in the description down below. It is a limited run of just 100, so make sure you get yours before they're out. Alright, so as you guys saw in the thumbnail, we are showing you 2 combos. They're not going to necessarily be full combos combos, I just want to show you guys how to abuse the Superheavy engine. And for this first one, you can open up either the motorbike or the Waka. It doesn't really matter which one, because they'll both get you to the exact same spot. So we're just going to show you opening up the motorbike, because it's really self-explanatory here. We're going to start with the motorbike in hand and discard it for its effect. This is going to allow us to add the Wakaushi from our deck to our hand, which we can then activate in the pendulum scale, and using its effect, we'll play the Big Benki in the other scale and summon itself to our side of the field. Now that we control a Superheavy Samurai monster, we can use the effect of the Big Benki to add a Superheavy Soul, which is going to add us the Superheavy Soul Gaia booster. We can activate this by equipping it to a Superheavy monster we control, and using its effect, we can special summon it to our side of the field. Now that we have 2 level 4 monsters on our field, we can go ahead and overlay them into the copy of Batlam Boxer King Dempsey, which on summon adds any fire warrior from our deck to our hand. Here we're going to go ahead and add the Airlifter. Now that we have the Airlifter, we can go ahead and normal summon it, because we made this without using our normal summon. This will search us for our copy of Emergency, and there we have the ability to just go full combo. Now, if you opened up the Waka instead of the motorbike, it's the exact same thing, you just don't have the motorbike in your graveyard, but you're still able to get into the Airlifter and then get the Emergency to go for full combo. Let's show you guys the Baron play. Now, for the Baron play, you do have to specifically have the motorbike, and I like having the Airlifter, but honestly, you don't need specifically the Airlifter. If you have Emergency plus any of your other Rescue Ace names, you can do the same thing. Essentially, the only time you're going to go into Baron is if you don't need the King Dempsey to get your combos rolling. So if you already have combo and you happen to open up the bike, you can just add an Omni Negate to your field as well. So we're going to show you guys what we do. So we're going to start off the same way as the last one. We're going to go ahead and discard the motorbike to add our copy of Wakaushi, which we will then play in the pendulum scale and activate its effect to play the Big Benki and summon itself. Now here we can use the Big Benki to search because we have the Wakaushi in our monster zone. This grabs us the Soul Gaia booster, which we will then attach or equip to the Wakaushi and summon it using its own effect. Now here we can go ahead and synchro, and again, the Wakaushi will go to the top of the pendulum or the extra deck, but we're just going to put it off to the side here, and that's going to go into the copy of Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon, which of course allows us to reborn a level 2 tuner, which in this instance is going to be the motorbike. Now that we have a level 2 tuner and a level 8 monster, we can use the Excel and the motorbike. This will go into our copy of Baron de Floor. Now we have a very early Omni Negate, and we can go ahead and normal summon out our Airlifter, which of course searches our Emergency, and that is full combo. And now the reason I like this is because once you get to the point where you are using the Turbulence to set 4, not only can they not negate it because you have a Baron, so you can stop anything that they would use to negate it, but if it just goes through and you're not forced to use your Baron, that means you have a way to protect all of your back row on the subsequent turn if your opponent has anything for the clapback. Now, you might be concerned that you only have 4 spots. What if you open up something like a Book of Moon? Don't forget that Baron also has the effect to once per turn destroy a card on the field, so you no longer need your Big Benki. You can just go ahead, Baron, destroy it. Now you have all 5 of your zones open again, so you can set any other cards that you might have opened. And there you guys have it. That is going to be my brand new updated Superheavy Samurai Rescue Ace deck profile. I think that this engine's insane, and it solves pretty much every issue that I had playing the deck. And honestly, yeah, it does bring some new issues of its own. This variant is a little bit more susceptible to Droll than the original variant is, but I think that the boost inconsistency is well worth taking that chance, because again, you saw the numbers. You have something like 70-something% chance of seeing it. Your opponent's only going to have a 30-something% chance of seeing Droll, so I'll take that massive consistency boost for the chance of potentially losing to a Droll. I think that it's just incredible with the ability to not only raise consistency, but prevent your back row from being destroyed as well. So if you guys liked it, you know the deal. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with your friends, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. Don't forget to check out the channel sponsor Dueling Guard. Using code INSANE18, you can get 5% off your entire order. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.